All right, now that you are done with the bisque fire, which is the first firing, you are ready to glaze into your stamps and add color. I made my sea fans orange. I pushed some underglaze into those. And now I want to make this little guy, my seahorse. I'm going to paint him blue. I'm going to use the smaller brush and kind of smush the glaze into the little object, whatever it is. It can be your initials, whatever you stamped in. And you want to push the glaze in there. I'm going to set this aside to dry right now because later I'm going to come back with a sponge and I can clean off the surface when it's dry and the color stays in the stamp and comes off of the surface. So I keep using a different clean side of my sponge here. And I can go to the sink and wipe this out, but you can see how the color stays down and into the stamp. But you want to let it dry first. I'm going to add a little bit more glaze into my seahorse here to give him a second layer. It dries within 5 minutes, kind of chalky. So fill it up, and then you'll sponge off the excess. Once the underglaze has dried and you want to put your clear coat on, you're going to grab one of the bigger brushes and the clear glaze. It's clear transparent LG10, it's the best. And you are going to just apply 1 or 2 nice coats, thick coat, all over. You're not necessarily painting. As you can see, when I paint this, I'm actually removing the glaze. You kind of want to goop it on. And once the first layer is dry and it looks like chalk, then you can move on. There's that. So I'm going to flip this over. What I don't want to do, you can put underglaze all over the bottom, but what you can't put on the bottom all over is the clear glaze. You need the clear glaze not on the bottom. If you put clear glaze on the bottom, you'll see that it sticks to my shelf. And then we would have to sand that off. So you want to keep the clear glaze around just the edges. And I'm doing this on top of a paper towel so that I don't need to clean my desk when it's dry. So you're going to apply it liberally all around. That's a nice thick coat right there. Don't touch the bottom. I should have, maybe before my demonstration, should have put color, some underglaze on my edges so they weren't plain, but that's okay. I think it kind of accentuates the wave that is across the bottom. So here we have this side, and I'm going to let that dry. Over here, our seahorse has somewhat dried, so I'm going to go to the sink. Actually, I'm just going to grab a new sponge. These should all be somewhat damp from last class. And again, I'm trying to clean up. Can you get above? There you go. I'm trying to clean up. I'm not touching the stamp. I'm going over around the stamp first. And I will touch a little bit of that seahorse on the inside. And I can scrape off as much as I want or as little as I want. So, and I turn my sponge to get a clean side. Now you can use the underglaze like paint if you want and paint a scene around here. This very thin glaze isn't really going to show up. So there I have that, and now I am ready. I don't know, maybe I want to put a color around the edge. If I do, I would put the color on now, whatever underglaze color I want. And then I take my clear coat and just go right over it again, and it'll be sealed and shiny and no longer porous. That's what this clear coat does. I want to wait until this is dry though, otherwise my clear coat, and if I rub it too much over it, the clear is going to mix with the color and then it's going to mix in there and spread all over. So you don't want to rub over that glaze, underglaze color too much. And when it comes out of the kiln, that pink turns into clear. And your designs will have the glaze in them, whatever color you choose. Unless, of course, you chose to do this where you underglazed first and then carved out your patterns so that the color was terracotta for whatever you carved out. This one, the stamps, we fire first so we can put the color into the stamps. This one, we glazed before we fired, put the underglaze on, and then carved out our design so that the design was the terracotta instead of the terracotta being around it. And then whenever you want something to get fired, you're gonna make sure it's all good and it goes into the kiln room on the floor, and I will make sure it gets in the kiln. Thank you.